I learned early how to stand slightly behind her. At work events, I stayed half a step back. At dinners, I waited until she spoke first. It wasn't something she asked for. Just happened. "Don't interrupt," she said once, not looking at me. "Let me finish." I nodded. "Sorry." Daniel noticed before I did. He always did. "Why do you apologize like that?" he asked over coffee. "For what?" I said. "For existing," he replied. I laughed it off. "She's under pressure. You know how CEOs are." "She's your fiancée," he said. "Not your boss." She was both. At the office, people listened when she spoke. They stopped when she raised a finger. When she entered a room, conversations shifted direction like iron filings near a magnet. I admired that about her. I told myself that loving someone powerful meant being flexible. "Can you move your meeting?" she asked one morning. I thought today was. She checked her phone. The board moved up the call. "Okay," I said. "We can do dinner later." She didn't answer. She was already walking. At home, I learned not to ask too many questions. "You're quiet tonight," she said once. "I'm listening," I replied. She smiled, distracted. "Good." Maya hated that word. "Why do you keep shrinking?" my sister asked while chopping onions in my kitchen. "I'm not shrinking," I said. "You apologize to the waiter," she said. "For her being late." "She's busy," I said. "She's always busy," Maya replied. "And you're always waiting." I didn't argue. I didn't know how to explain that waiting felt safer than pushing. Her ex started appearing in conversations the way dust does. Soft, constant, easy to ignore until it's everywhere. "Victor built that system," she said casually. "Victor handled crisis better than anyone," she said another time. "Victor understands scale," she added, smiling at her screen. I told myself history didn't matter. "You're overthinking," I said to Daniel when he raised an eyebrow. "I'm observing," he said. "There's a difference." At meetings, she corrected me mid-sentence. "What he means," she said, cutting in, "is that the data isn't ready." I swallowed. "Yes." Later, I asked, "Did I say something wrong?" She sighed. "Not wrong. Just inefficient." I was explaining context. "We don't have time for context," she replied. "This isn't personal." Everything felt personal. At night, I lay awake while she typed beside me, screen light flickering across her face. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she frowned. I stopped asking who she was texting. "You okay?" she asked once. "Yeah," I said. "Good," she replied. "Tomorrow's important." Tomorrow was always important. The apologies became automatic. "Sorry, I forgot." "Sorry, I'll move it." "Sorry, I didn't realize." One evening, Maya watched me pack my laptop after dinner. "You're leaving already?" she asked. "She needs me," I said. "For what?" Maya asked quietly. I didn't have an answer. The moment that settled it didn't feel dramatic. It felt small. That was worse. We were supposed to celebrate. Nothing big. Just us. A date circled on the calendar in red ink. I set the table. 2 glasses. Her favorite wine. She walked in, phone pressed to her ear. "I need 10 minutes, she mouthed. I nodded. 10 became 30. 30 became an hour. She finally hung up. Victor needed input on the acquisition. I waited for her to look at the table. She didn't. "You remembered, right?" I asked. She frowned. "Remembered what?" I felt something hollow open in my chest. "Tonight," I said. "We planned tonight." She exhaled. "I can't right now. This deal is sensitive." "It was important to me," I said. She looked at me then, truly looked, like she was assessing a variable she hadn't calculated. "You'll understand," she said. "You always do." I nodded. Of course I did. She picked up her phone again. "I'll make it up to you." She didn't wait for my reply. I stood there alone, staring at the untouched glasses, realizing something I hadn't wanted to admit. I wasn't her partner. I was her convenience, her support system, her silence. I loved her. That part was real. But love didn't feel like this. Love didn't erase you slowly. My phone buzzed. "Daniel, you okay?" I typed, "Yeah." "Maya, did she cancel again?" I didn't answer. I cleaned the table. I turned off the lights. I stood in the dark and finally said the truth out loud, even if only to myself. "I'm engaged to her power," I whispered. "Not to her heart." And power, I was learning, never loves back. Victor stopped being a name and became a presence. "He's joining the call," she said one afternoon, already adjusting her posture. "Okay," I replied. Her voice changed when he spoke. Softer. Lighter. Victor, she said, smiling. Good timing. Wouldn't miss this, he replied. I watched her lean forward. She never leaned toward me. He talked about numbers. She listened. Really listened. When I spoke, she nodded politely and moved on. After the call, I asked, You seem relaxed with him. She didn't look up from her phone. We've worked together before. I know, I said. It just feels different. She sighed. You're reading too much into it. At dinner, his name came up again. Victor thinks the rollout should wait, she said. What do you think? I asked. I think he's right, she replied instantly. I paused. You didn't even consider? She cut me off. This isn't personal. Everything always wasn't personal. Later that night, I heard her laugh in the other room. A real laugh. The kind that lifts at the end. I stood in the hallway invisible. Remember Paris? Victor's voice came through the speaker. She laughed again. Don't remind me. I stepped back before I was noticed. When she joined me, I said, You sounded happy. She shrugged. It was a productive call. You laughed. She frowned. So? I don't hear that laugh much anymore, I said. She stiffened. That's not fair. I'm not accusing, I replied. I'm asking. You're being sensitive, she said. Victor doesn't threaten you. I didn't say he did. But you're acting like it, she replied. You should trust me. I nodded. Of course I should. Daniel didn't nod when I told him. He's crossing lines, Daniel said. It's work, I replied automatically. No, Daniel said. It's familiarity. They have history, I said. Exactly, he replied. And you're pretending it doesn't matter. It doesn't, I insisted. Daniel stared at me. You sound like you're convincing yourself. Maya didn't argue. She just listened. Do you feel safe telling her how you feel? She asked quietly. Safe. I repeated. Emotionally, she said. I thought about it. I don't want to stress her. Maya nodded slowly. That's not an answer. At work, Victor started showing up in person. Good to finally meet you, he said, shaking my hand. His grip was confident. Likewise, I replied. He smiled at her. Still running everything, I see. She smiled back. Someone has to. They shared a look. I stood beside them like furniture. In meetings, she deferred to him. What do you think, Victor? She asked. He answered. She agreed. When I offered a different view, she said, Let's stay aligned. Aligned with him. That night I tried again. I feel pushed aside, I said. She rubbed her temples. Why do you make everything emotional? I'm explaining how I feel. And I'm telling you it's unnecessary, she replied. You're overreacting. The word stayed with me. Overreacting. I stopped bringing it up. Silence was easier. When Victor texted, she angled her phone away. Who was that? I asked once. Work, she replied too quickly. Can I see? I asked. Her eyes flashed. Why? I'm not accusing, I said. She turned the screen off. You should trust me by now. I apologized. For asking. At dinner with friends, Victor joined us unexpectedly. You didn't say he was coming, I said quietly. He was nearby, she replied. Victor told a story. She laughed. Everyone laughed. I smiled when expected. Someone asked, How long have you two known each other? She answered, Long enough. She didn't look at me. Daniel kicked my foot under the table. Later he said, You're disappearing? I'm being supportive, I said. No, he replied. You're being erased. At home I stood behind her while she typed. You're quiet, she said. I'm thinking, I replied. About what? Us. She didn't turn around. We're fine. Victor's name lit up her screen. She locked it. I swallowed. That night I stared at the ceiling and counted breaths. I told myself love meant patience. I told myself confidence meant silence. I told myself trust meant ignoring instincts. But something inside me kept shrinking. I was becoming careful. Measured. Quiet. Not because I was calm. Because I was afraid of losing what I already felt slipping away. In the morning she kissed my cheek absently. I'll be late, she said. Victor and I need to finish something. Okay, I replied. She paused. You're good, right? I smiled. Always. She left. I sat alone and finally admitted the truth I'd been avoiding. I wasn't competing with her ex. I was losing to him. Not because he was better, but because she was already choosing him. And I was choosing silence to survive it. I recorded the voice note at 1:47 a.m. I remember the time because I checked twice, hoping the numbers would change how I felt. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in my hand, lights off. I didn't plan to say much. I just needed somewhere to put the words before they crushed me. I'm not weak, I whispered to myself. I'm just tired. I paused, then kept going. I keep shrinking because it feels safer than fighting. I love her. That's the truth. I love her, and I don't know how to exist without apologizing for it. I rubbed my face. She controls the room. She controls the story. I let her because I thought love meant patience. But patience is starting to feel like erasure. I exhaled slowly. I don't stay because I'm afraid of being alone. I stay because I believed in us. And maybe that belief made me quiet. Maybe it made me easy. I stopped recording and dropped the phone on the bed. I didn't know the device synced automatically to her office system when we shared accounts months ago. I slept. The next morning she was already dressed when I woke. You're up early, I said. Big day, she replied, tightening her watch strap. Her voice was normal. Her face was neutral. But she looked at me half a second longer than usual. Did you sleep? She asked. Eventually, I said. She nodded. Good. At breakfast, she watched me stir my coffee. You don't take sugar, she said. I do sometimes, I replied. She tilted her head. Since when? I don't know, I said. I guess I always did. She didn't smile. At work, Daniel met me near the elevators. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. Why? You seem steadier, he replied. I frowned. That's new. Not steady like happy, he clarified. Steady like done. I'm not done, I said quickly. Daniel studied me. Then why do you sound like you're choosing yourself? I laughed. You're reading into it. Am I? He asked. Later she called me into her office. Sit, she said. I sat. She leaned back, fingers pressed together. You've been quiet. I always am, I replied. She shook her head. Not like this. Like what? I asked. Like you're somewhere else, she said. I met her eyes. Maybe I'm just listening. Her jaw tightened. To what? To myself, I said. She blinked. That's a change, she said. Is it bad? I asked. She didn't answer right away. It's different. Throughout the day she hovered. Not obviously. Just enough to notice. She asked what I thought in meetings. She waited for my answers. She didn't interrupt. It felt unnatural. At lunch she said, You don't talk much anymore. I talk, I replied. I just don't perform. She looked away. You sound guarded. I sound honest, I said. That night Daniel called. You want to come over? He asked. Why? I replied. Because you finally stopped defending her, he said. And that scares me for you. I didn't stop defending, I said. You stopped explaining, he corrected. There's a difference. I didn't argue. When I got home she was sitting on the couch, phone in her lap, screen dark. You left your phone syncing on my system, she said casually. Oh, I replied. I'll fix it. She watched me closely. You talk in your sleep. I froze. I do. Sometimes, she said. You sound thoughtful. I swallowed. What do I say? She smiled faintly. Things you've never said to me. My chest tightened. Like what? She stood. Like how tired you are. I laughed softly. Everyone's tired. She stepped closer. Not like you. Her hand hovered near my arm, then dropped. You're changing, she said. I'm growing, I replied. She searched my face. Away from me? I didn't answer. That night she didn't touch her phone. She didn't work. She watched me like I might disappear. I brushed my teeth. She watched. I turned off the light. She watched. In the dark, she whispered, Do you feel trapped? The question cut. Sometimes, I admitted. She inhaled sharply. I didn't know she had already heard everything. My fears. My clarity. My resolve. I didn't know she replayed the recording twice. I didn't know she heard the part where I said, I won't beg forever. All I knew was that when I turned toward her, her eyes looked different. Not powerful. Not distant. Afraid. Like she was seeing me clearly for the first time. Not as someone she owned, but as someone she was about to lose. She started noticing me in ways that felt unfamiliar. Not warm. Not loving. Strategic. Where are you going? She asked as I picked up my keys. Out, I replied. With who? She added quickly. I don't know yet, I said. That pause unsettled her. She followed me into the hallway and touched my arm. Text me when you get there. I will if I remember, I said. Her fingers lingered too long. At work, she asked my opinion in meetings she used to dominate alone. What do you think? She said, eyes fixed on me. I think it works, I replied. That's all? She asked. That's enough, I said. People noticed. Daniel leaned over and whispered, she's tracking you. I know, I said. She doesn't like not knowing, he added. I shrugged. Neither do I. She started calling during the day. Not about work. About me. Did you eat? She asked once. Yes, I said. What? She pressed. Food, I replied. She didn't laugh. At dinner, she put her phone face down for the first time in months. You're quiet, she said. I've always been quiet, I replied. Not like this, she said again. I met her eyes. You keep saying that. Because it feels like I'm losing you, she said. I didn't answer. She reached across the table. Do you still love me? Yes, I said. Her shoulders relaxed too quickly. But I don't need you to approve of me anymore, I added. Her smile faltered. Later that night Maya called. She's hovering, Maya said. I noticed, I replied. Don't confuse attention with care, she warned. I won't, I said. You sound different, Maya added. How? I asked. Like you don't need permission, she said. I smiled. I don't. The next morning she stood in my doorway watching me tie my shoes. You're leaving earlier, she said. I changed my schedule, I replied. You didn't tell me, she said. I didn't need to, I answered. Her jaw tightened. We usually plan these things together. We used to, I said. She crossed her arms. You're pulling away. I'm standing still, I replied. You just moved too far ahead. She didn't respond. At the office, her ex tried to pull her aside. She waved him off. I'm busy, she said. He frowned. Since when? She glanced at me across the room. Since now, she said. That caught my attention. Later he cornered me near the elevators. You've got her distracted, he said. I'm just existing, I replied. He scoffed. That's never been enough for her. Apparently it is today, I said. He walked away irritated. In her office, she closed the door and leaned against it. You didn't tell me you changed your hours, she said again. I didn't think I needed to report it, I replied. She stared. You're testing me. I'm respecting myself, I said. That sounds rehearsed, she snapped. It's practiced, I replied. Through silence. Her voice softened. You don't have to protect yourself from me. I do, I said calmly. She flinched. Daniel texted, she's scared. I typed back, I'm calm. That night she tried kindness like a negotiation. She cooked. She complimented my work. She asked about my childhood. You never talk about your dad, she said. You never asked, I replied. I'm asking now, she said. I nodded. That's noted. Her eyes narrowed. You're being careful. I'm being honest, I said. She reached for my hand. We can reset. I'm not broken, I replied. She pulled her hand back slowly. Are you planning to leave me? She asked. The room felt still. I'm planning to survive, I said. She stared like she'd been slapped. That's not an answer, she said. It's the only one that matters, I replied. Her breathing changed. Faster. Shallow. You're not afraid anymore, she whispered. No, I said. I'm aware. She looked past me like she was calculating something. I built my life on control, she said quietly. I built mine on patience, I replied. She laughed once. And now? Now I'm building on truth, I said. She turned away. At work the next day people challenged her more openly. She snapped at a manager who didn't back down. She looked at me for support. I didn't move. Her authority cracked in small ways. Missed cues. Forced smiles. She noticed. You didn't help me in that meeting, she said later. I didn't hurt you either, I replied. That's not how partnership works, she said. It is when one person stops performing, I said. That night, she stood in front of the mirror and asked, Do you still see me? Yes, I said. Then why does it feel like you're gone? She asked. Because I stopped disappearing for you, I replied. She watched me carefully after that, like someone guarding something already slipping through their hands. And for the first time, I understood something clearly. She wasn't watching me because she loved me more. She was watching me because she felt power leaving. And I wasn't chasing it anymore. She didn't tell me right away. That was the worst part. She let me wake up, drink coffee, answer emails, and sit across from her at dinner like nothing had changed. Her eyes followed me more than her words did. When I spoke, she listened too closely. When I went quiet, she panicked. Finally, she said, "We need to talk." I nodded. "We always do." She swallowed. "Not like this." We sat on opposite ends of the couch. No touching. No performance. "I heard it," she said. "Heard what?" I asked. She looked down. "Your voice." Silence filled the room. "You mean my recording?" I said. "Yes," she whispered. I leaned back. "So you know?" She nodded. "Everything." I waited. "I didn't mean to," she said quickly. It synced automatically. I was in my office and it just played. "And you kept listening," I said. She didn't deny it. "I couldn't stop," she said. "You sounded different." "How?" I asked. "Honest," she said. "Scared. Clear." I exhaled slowly. "You heard me say I felt small." She nodded again. "You heard me say I stayed because I loved you." "Yes." "You heard me say I was disappearing." Her eyes filled. "Yes." I looked at her. "And you didn't interrupt. For once." She pressed her hands together. "I didn't know you felt like that." "That's not true," I replied. "You just didn't listen." She flinched. "I thought you were stable," she said. "You never complained." "I never felt safe enough to," I said. She leaned forward. "I never wanted to hurt you." "You practiced it," I said calmly. Her breath hitched. "That's not fair." "It's accurate," I replied. She shook her head. "I loved you." "You loved what I provided," I said. "Not who I was." She stood abruptly. "That's not." "Sit," I said. She froze. Then sat. "I'll tell you what you did," I continued. "And I won't raise my voice." She nodded, tears spilling now. "You corrected me in public." She whispered, "I was stressed." "You compared me to men who intimidated you." "I admired them." "You admired control," I said. She covered her mouth. "You decided my schedule without asking." "I thought it was efficient." "You dismissed my feelings as weakness." "I didn't know how else to handle them." "You made me apologize for needing you." Her shoulders shook. "And when I stayed quiet," I said, "you called it loyalty." She sobbed. "I'm sorry." "For which part?" I asked. She hesitated. "All of it." "No," I said. "You're sorry you were exposed." She looked up sharply. "I heard your fear in that recording," she said. "You weren't weak. You were breaking." "And you still didn't stop," I replied. She dropped to her knees in front of me. Not dramatically. Instinctively. "I need you," she said. "I don't function like this." There it was. Not love. Dependence. "You're offering me safety now," I said. "Because you feel unsafe." "I can change," she said. "I'll step back. I'll listen. I'll give you space." "You're negotiating," I replied. "I'm begging," she corrected. I studied her face. Red eyes. Shaking hands. A woman who ruled boardrooms reduced to fear. "What happens," I asked quietly, "when you feel powerful again?" She opened her mouth. Closed it. "I'll always wonder," I continued. "And I won't live like that." She crawled closer. "I'll give you anything." "Anything except equality," I said. "I'll give you authority," she said desperately. "A title. Shares. Influence." "You're still buying me," I replied. She broke down completely then. "I don't know how to love without control," she admitted. I nodded. "I figured that out alone." She whispered my name like a plea. "I won't leave if you don't," she said. "I already did," I replied. Her face collapsed. "You heard my thoughts," I said gently. "And you panicked because they didn't include you the way you expected." She whispered, "I never knew you were this strong." "I wasn't," I said. "I became." She grabbed my sleeve. "Please." I removed her hand. Carefully. Respectfully. "You needed me," I said. "You just never treated me like it." She stayed on the floor long after I stood up. I didn't slam the door. I didn't announce anything. I simply walked away from the room where power finally meant nothing to me. And for the first time I felt steady. The first thing I stopped doing was explaining myself. I didn't announce it. I just didn't do it anymore. "Why are you leaving early?" she asked one morning, standing in the doorway with her phone already in her hand. "I'm done for today," I said. "That's not what I meant," she replied. "We usually review the calendar together." I reviewed mine. I said. She frowned. You didn't check with me. I didn't need to. That was when I saw it. Real fear, not anger. At work, I stopped waiting for approval before speaking. At home, I stopped adjusting my tone to keep things calm. I answered questions directly or not at all. She noticed everything. You're distant, she said one night. I'm present, I replied. With me. With myself. That answer shook her. The gifts came next. A watch I'd once admired sat on the table. I saw it and thought of you, she said carefully. It's expensive, I replied. So I don't want it. She stared. You never refused things before. I never felt allowed to, I said. The promotions followed. I can move you closer to executive decisions, she said, voice controlled. You'd have influence. I want growth, I replied. Not leverage. She blinked. What does that even mean? It means I don't want to owe you. That was when she started reaching for promises. I'll slow down, she said. We'll take weekends. I'll listen more. You're offering behavior changes, I said. Not understanding. She slammed her hand on the counter. What do you want from me? I want space without consequences. She went quiet. Daniel heard the difference the first time I called him. You sound steady, he said. I am. No jokes. No deflecting. I'm tired of performing. He laughed softly. Welcome back. I noticed it too. You don't apologize at the end of every sentence anymore, she said. I didn't realize I did. You did, she replied. It feels quiet now. In a good way. That was when I met Robert. Not through her. Not through her company. He was a client contact who stayed after a meeting. You think clearly, he said. I try. You don't oversell. You don't shrink either. I paused. That's new. He smiled. If you ever want guidance that doesn't come with strings, let me know. We met for coffee a week later. What do you want? He asked. Independence, I said. From what? From being owned. He nodded like that made perfect sense. Then build skills no one can take from you, he said. And never confuse opportunity with permission. That sentence stayed with me. As I grew, she unraveled. Why don't you need me like before? She asked one night, voice thin. I never needed you, I replied. I needed safety. And now I give it to myself. She tried closeness again, touching my arm, sitting too close. Do you still love me? She asked. I respect myself, I replied. She flinched. You're changing, she said. I already did, I answered. She paced the room. I don't know who you are anymore. That's because you never asked, I said. The fear in her eyes grew when she realized control didn't work. Not gifts. Not power. Not guilt. I built everything around us, she said. You built everything around you, I replied. Silence followed. I wasn't angry. I wasn't cruel. I was finished being managed. For the first time, I didn't feel small standing across from her. For the first time, she did. And I finally understood something simple and unshakable. I was never hers to own. The first call came late. I need you, she said, skipping hello. I'm listening, I replied. That pause mattered. I didn't rush. I didn't soften. The board meeting went badly, she said. They're asking questions. About what? I asked. About leadership, she said. About vision. I stayed quiet. They're nervous, she added. They want reassurance. You built that room, I said calmly. You know how to handle it. I usually do, she replied. But they don't listen like before. I didn't answer. She sighed. You used to help me frame things. I used to absorb pressure, I said. That's different. Her ex stopped calling around the same time. She mentioned it casually one night. He's been distant. That happens under stress, I replied. She waited for sympathy. It didn't come. At work, people stopped moving when she entered a room. They listened, but they didn't bend. She noticed. They question me now, she said. Questions aren't disrespect, I replied. They never questioned me before. They were afraid, I said. That word landed heavy. You think I ruled by fear? She asked. I think you ruled by certainty, I replied. And certainty cracks when no one cushions it. She rubbed her face. You sound like Daniel. I talk to people who tell me the truth now, I said. She looked at me like I'd betrayed her. I need support, she said quietly. I'm not abandoning you, I replied. I'm not rescuing you either. She laughed bitterly. So this is punishment? No, I said. This is distance. Daniel called me that night. She's spiraling, he said. I know. You okay? I feel neutral. That's new. It's honest. Maya called the next morning. She came by the house, she said. And? She cried. I exhaled slowly. You don't owe her comfort, Maya said. I know. You owed yourself safety, she added. You finally chose it. The company started leaking stories. Not scandals. Confusion. Executives disagreed publicly. Decisions stalled. People whispered. She came to me again. Can we talk? She asked. We are, I replied. She sat across from me, hands shaking. I don't understand why this is happening, she said. It's always been happening, I replied. I was just holding pieces together. She frowned. You think I depended on you? I think you depended on control, I said. I was one part of that. Her voice cracked. So now I fail? No, I said. Now you face yourself. She stared at the floor. I thought love meant loyalty, she whispered. Love means accountability, I replied. You never learned that. She looked up, eyes wet. Why don't you hate me? I already survived you, I said. There's nothing left to fight. Her ex formally stepped away a week later. She told me like it was an afterthought. He said the instability isn't good for his image. I nodded. He always chose safety. So did you, she said softly. Yes, I replied. Eventually, investors demanded restructuring. Employees pushed back. She lost meetings she used to dominate. She called me after another long night. I'm scared, she admitted. I know, I replied. Say something, she pleaded. I already did, I said. Months ago. Silence stretched between us. I don't recognize my life, she said. That's what happens when power replaces connection, I replied. She swallowed. I wish you'd stayed. I stayed longer than I should have, I said. She closed her eyes. I don't blame you, she whispered. That's new, I replied. She looked at me then, not like an asset, not like protection. Like a witness. And I understood something clearly. Her empire wasn't falling because I left. It was falling because it was built on obedience, not respect. I didn't celebrate. I didn't mourn. I simply stepped back and watched reality do its work. Karma didn't need my hands. It only needed my absence. And for the first time that was enough. She asked to meet in her office. Not a cafe. Not home. Her territory. I arrived on time. She was standing by the window when I walked in, arms folded, jaw tight. You're really leaving, she said. I already left, I replied. She turned slowly. You didn't say goodbye. I didn't need closure, I said. I needed clarity. She laughed softly, the sound brittle. You always did that. You left space where I expected explanation. I stopped explaining myself, I replied. She walked closer. We built something. You built something, I corrected. I adapted to it. Her eyes flashed. I gave you access, power, security. You gave me proximity, I said. Not partnership. She shook her head. That's not fair. I'm not negotiating fairness anymore, I replied. She sat down heavily. I remember when you couldn't speak up in meetings. I remember when you talked over me, I said. She swallowed. I was protecting the room. You were protecting control, I replied. She leaned forward. So this is it? You walk away after everything? I walk away because of everything, I said. Her voice softened. I was under pressure. I know, I replied. I lived inside it. She wiped her eyes. I never meant to hurt you. I believe you, I said. That doesn't change the damage. She looked startled. You're not angry. No, I said. I'm finished. She reached across the desk. We can fix this. I'm not broken, I replied. Her hand hovered in the air, then dropped. You owe me a conversation, she said. I gave you years, I replied. This is the summary. Her voice cracked. I loved you. You loved stability, I said. I provided it quietly. She stood again, pacing. So you're just going to disappear? I'm choosing distance, I said. Not punishment. She stopped. Do you know what happens to people who leave me? I used to be afraid of that, I replied. I'm not anymore. She stared at me. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I think I'm done comparing. Her shoulders slumped. I don't recognize you. That's because you never met me, I replied. Silence filled the room. She sat down slowly. Say something kind. I hope you learn, I said. She scoffed. That's it. That's enough, I replied. She laughed again hollow. You think this is victory? I think this is peace, I said. She looked at the floor. I thought you'd stay loyal. I was loyal, I replied. Until loyalty became self-erasure. She whispered, I didn't know. I know, I said. That's why I'm leaving. Her eyes filled again. If you walk out that door. I will, I said. She stood abruptly. You don't get to rewrite our story. I'm not rewriting it, I replied. I'm ending my chapter. She clenched her fists. After everything I did for you. And everything you took from me, I said calmly. Her voice dropped. You think silence made you strong? No, I said. Silence taught me who I was without your noise. She looked at me like she was seeing the weight of her own reflection. I don't know how to stop this, she said. You don't, I replied. She whispered, I need you. You always did, I said. You just never treated me like it. I turned toward the door. Wait, she said. I paused. Will you ever come back? She asked. I looked over my shoulder. Not to be owned. I opened the door. The hallway felt wider than I remembered. Lighter. I didn't rush. I didn't look back again. She thought she owned my loyalty. The truth is, I owned my silence. And it set me free.